Philadelphia and Commanders NFC Championship game. And you're wondering, how did that happen? Well, the Eagles put on the fifth best rushing performance in the playoffs with Saquon and Jalen Hurts. You know, I think Saquon had like 205 rushing. I think they had 280 something yards rushing. They really wanted that 300-yard mark. But it was a good game. The Rams, had some costly turnovers, watching Matthew Stafford, throw a pick, watching Kyren Williams and Matthew Stafford not be on the same page on a handoff. That was really crucial. And playing in Philly ain't no joke. There are some teams where playing in their home stadium is the last thing you want to do. Facing the Eagles in Philly, one of the worst things you can do. Facing Kansas City at home, one of the worst things you can do. Facing Buffalo in the playoffs, that's something that you don't want to do. Facing Green Bay at home is something you don't want to do. But the Rams got caught. And it seemed like the Rams O-line could not handle Jalen Carter and all them boys on the D-line because they were wrecking havoc. And I forget the linebacker's name, but the Eagles linebacker core, they were swallowing Kyren Williams in that backfield. There was nothing Kyren Williams could do. When I watched that second half, Kyren Williams had a couple decent runs, but he couldn't really break off anything. Every now and then he'd get 5, 6, 7 yards, but he couldn't break off a 20-yard run. He couldn't get 15 yards. Maybe he would get 11 at max. But they were not letting up. And the Rams ended up getting, 8 sacks, I think. One of the teams that had back-to-back sacks, they had 9 last week, 8 this week, I believe. And they were hitting Hurst. I don't know what's up with Hurst and his injury right now with his knee, but you could tell that they were being cautious. They were trying to be cautious, and if I was Philly, I would have taken Jalen Hurts out because I know I got Saquon. All Jalen Hurts did from after the half, all he did was make a couple of plays, throwing from the pocket. He never really ran outside the pocket because the Rams were hitting him. They were hitting him. They were folding him. He just was getting hit left and right. And Jared Verse, man, that boy is a monster because he was pushing over Jordan Mailata. He was getting through, hitting Hurst in his face. They got something going on that D-line down in Los Angeles. But when Saquon rushes for 205 yards, not much you can really do there. There's not much that you're going to, unless Matthew Stafford threw for 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, there was nothing else that you were going to be able to do. And the fact that the Eagles looked a little beatable with the Rams, and you just had the Commanders put up 45 against the Lions. Now, granted, the Lions are a little decimated on defense. I will concede to that. I don't like the fact that Jalen Hurts is, as a Commanders fan, I like the fact that Jalen Hurts is looking a little beat up, so he's not really going to run as much, hopefully, against the Commanders. But that's one less threat to worry about. But hey, we are hoping and praying for either a Bills and Commanders Super Bowl or a Chiefs and Commanders Super Bowl. Because, let's be real, nobody wants to see the Eagles in the Super Bowl besides Eagles fans. A lot of people don't like the Eagles, and I greatly understand why. It's because of their fan base. But I'm very sad that the Rams did not beat Jalen Hurts and Saquon. I am really watching that fumble that Matthew Stafford had with Kyron Williams on the handoff. That is just costly right there. There is really nothing more you can do that'll hurt you or shoot you in the foot worse than turnovers like that, especially against a Philly team. Especially if you're having trouble stopping Saquon, and then you're also having trouble with A.J. Brown and a Devontae Smith and a Dallas Goedert, man, you're going to have some issues. A lot of issues. And Matthew Stafford, on that last drive, taking that sack, I would have just thrown it out of bounds or thrown it at the ground, try to draw a roughing the passer type of call. I would have done something. But Philly, we will see you guys next week. We will see you guys. And in the regular season, it's 1-1. But like they all say, regular season don't mean anything when you get into the playoffs. All it means is that you might have home advantage depending on who you're facing. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win, as we just saw with the Bills beating the Ravens and then also with the Commanders beating the Lions. But hey, we shall see, shouldn't we? It's going to be a fight. I'm sure everybody's going to want to tune into that. But we'll see. We shall see.